Good morning, West USA. Hope everybody's doing well and had a great weekend. Todd, it's everybody's doing remote today, so
I
it's
know.
it's a lonely crew in here today. All right, but anyways, moving right along, let's just jump into it. Little sneak peek of what we got coming up today. Of course, we got Todd Menard here to give us a look at the numbers. Matt Baker's going to join us remote, give us our mortgage minute, and everybody, we're going to just keep talking about interest rates and how to handle objections. So I'm going to continue that conversation.
Sweet.
And then Tammy with Knox is going to stop by and just see with the changing marketplace how Knox can still benefit you as an agent and more importantly your clients. As always, if you got any comments or questions, please feel free to email us at webinar@westusa. Nick, let's jump right into some announcements. All right, a packing party and donations for Women. That is going on tomorrow from 12 to 1 at the North Phoenix office. So great opportunity for you to come and pitch in and volunteer and so forth. So there's the QR code real quick. You can scan it. And as always, just go to your dashboard and all of those events will be on the newly revised calendar. The calendar, if you haven't seen it, just check it out because
Spiffy.
it is very aesthetically appealing.
Yeah.
All right. We also every Tuesday we're doing our accountability group in the surprise office. Just especially in this marketplace, a great opportunity to just mastermind with other agents and find out what other people are doing, and more importantly, being held accountable.
We didn't have a flyer for it, Mikey, real quick. So tomorrow at Surprise is basically an all-day affair. We've got the office meeting in the morning, and then we have the Women for Women packing, and then after that in the afternoon is the accountability day. So if you're in the Surprise area, you got a lot of great things to choose from.
All right, so then I might have made a mistake. So this one is in so this one's in the Surprise office too, not the North Phoenix office. So Surprise, Surprise.
I wasn't listening to you.
And more importantly, let's talk potluck. All right, so we got 4th of July coming up, the Kierland office. And going back to the Surprise office and those events, it's always a good reminder, does not matter which office you hold your license out of. You are more than welcome and invited to participate in any event in any office, including the potluck at the Scottsdale office coming up this Wednesday from 12 to 1. Go ahead and message in what you're going to be making, and I want to see what I have to look forward to. So that's coming up this Wednesday. For Thursday in our North Phoenix office meeting, we got our managing broker, Susan Herbert, coming in. So we never know which Susan is going to show up, the one that's had coffee or the one that hasn't had coffee. I'm always rooting for the one that hasn't had coffee.
The one that hasn't had coffee is the one I want calling the other side of the transaction.
It's more interesting. Anyway, so that's going to be in person in the North Phoenix office. Again, doesn't matter what office you're out of. If you want to hear from Susan, come join us this Thursday. Todd's got a CE class going on Wednesday, 3 hours of fair housing. So if you need some CE hours and you want to do it virtually, this is the way to go. And then Dean Becker for Broker Roundtable this Thursday. This will be virtual on Zoom as well from 10 to 11. So we're doing that on a regular basis. Again, all of these events can be found on your dashboard. Just go to the calendar. And then lastly, and as always, every Monday afternoon from 2 to 2:30. Don't do that with Bob Stevens. So I join him this afternoon. All right, Todd, let's take a look at the numbers here. All right, Todd's doing sound effects.
I think every once in a while.
It's getting even more awkward in here.
We need a little crickets every once in a while, right, Mike? All right, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Today we're going over the Greater Phoenix metropolitan housing statistics for the week ending not July yet, June 27th. Let's take a look. All righty, so across the board, there's a lot of things that are happening today, so just listen closely. 30 closed days on market. That's up. First time we've seen a 30 in a long time. 2.07 month supply. That is not inaccurate. A 2-month supply. Absorption rates at 48.43%. Average list price is at $759. Average sale price at almost $90,000. And our list price to sale price retention also is continuing to move down into our normal ranges at 99.47. Taking a look at active inventory, we're up another 10%, 14,811 units at this particular moment, 3,915 people pending. Closed units month to date at 6,216. Taking a look at new listings this past week, Mike, look at this, 2,700 277 new listings taken this past week. These 2,800 numbers are amazing, and they're really making a huge impact on our inventory. Our days on market for active is at 58.8, and for closed, as I mentioned, at 30. Taking a look at our price ranges down here, under $500,000 representing 45.86% of the market. That is about just obviously under half. We take a look at the $500 to $1 million market. That's also in the 40s. This used to be in the 20s, and the under 500 in the 70s. This is probably not going to change. This is probably going to be, I would anticipate, the new normal as it applies to inventory and what percentages of price ranges each of those categories make up. Then we look at our $1 million and up inventory sitting at 13%. That's about where it's always been. The difference is 72 days on market is still almost 3 times as fast as that category used to represent. So taking a look at our spreadsheet to be able to really, dive into some of these numbers and see what the changes really mean. In the very center of the column, we have 2019, same week 3 years ago. To the left of that, in salmon, we have 2021, same week. To the left of that, we have 2 white columns, both of those representing this past week and the week prior. The 2 blue columns way over in the end in 2 weeks. Next week, obviously, be July 4th weekend, so we're not going to be here on Monday. But the week after that, we're going to have a we're going to be showing you the June month-end numbers, and those are going to be some really amazing things to take a look at. So 2,700 is not, it is a phenomenal number. Yes, it's a red ticker because it's down from 29 or 2,800, but again, this is significant. Slide your eyes across 3 years ago in the best market, we only took 1,900 listings this past week, and then last year in the COVID market, we took, actually just in the recovering COVID portion, we took 2,364 listings. So again, this is a super sign. Sellers are engaging. Sellers are getting into the market. Sellers are no longer worried about where they're going. Well, they might be a little bit worried about where they're going, but the market issues are no longer existing. Inventory is at 14,811. 900 of those are coming soon. That's actually down just a little bit, but still a very strong number. 12,000, almost 13,000 properties, single family detached, almost 1,600 new builder listings. That 100 and something helped in there, that increase in builder listings. If you noticed, Mike, in the last couple of weeks, the builders all of a sudden, how do we know when we're over the population boom? When the builders start calling realtors and offering you incentives over and above a stereotypical compensation, to draw you back and hope you have a very short memory about the fact that they stopped paying
begging
you. Yeah, they're begging at this point. And this is common. Mike, you and I have seen this 3 times prior. Our non-distressed inventory sitting at almost 15,000. This is what I want you to see. Slide your eyes across. Last year, an incredible year, you guys said, oh my gosh, we did more units, more volume. We only had almost 7,000 listings. 3 years ago, in one of the best markets Arizona's seen ever, we're at 15,296. You slide your eyes way over to the left, and you're looking 14,700 right at this particular moment. We almost have more inventory than we did 3 years ago. So the inventory crisis, I don't want to hear this word out of anybody's mouth anymore. We need to remain positive with these consumers, because if we're not, the consumers are going to listen to all that sensationalism. The Chicken Little is falling, the sky's falling, the market's crashing, the rates are going up, we can't sustain these numbers, inventory's low. All those things are no longer true. Take a look here in the marketplace. We're sitting at, there was a slight uptick, so this is why I'm bringing this to your attention. We're still under 90. We're still under the typical 4.5%, 0.4% of the entire MLS inventory, but they did go up. We did have a few more short sales added to the MLS over this past week. Looking at pending sitting at 39.50, and if I had to say, why is the inventory growing? This is the reason. People, buyer side, you got to be feeling that there's fewer people wanting to engage. They're scared. They're listening to 6, 7, 8, 10% interest rate possibilities. They're hearing the most recent Fed rate Greenspan come out, not Greenspan, a long time ago, Powell, who come out and basically say that they're planning on raising Fed rates again, between now and the end of the year. We thought there'd be a little cooling off now that we got here in the market's slowing down. But remember, Arizona, what you're listening to is national news. This is Arizona accurate information. We're not the same as the rest of the country. Unfortunately, though, our consumers are listening to the same thing. And so it's very important we understand these numbers to be able to educate them and help them. Don't deep dive, but just be able to represent, how the differences basically regurgitate what we're talking about every Monday for you. Looking at closed inventory, 6,200 for the month. We were at 8,400 last year. So the loss in pending of about 3,000 people per month, and even call it 2,000 if you want, is allowing us to add to our inventory in phenomenal percentages. Like the last week was 10% up. So we go down and again, closed inventory as far as distress just doesn't exist. I can't wait to see where we end up at the end of the month, because are we going to be still somewhere about 8%? That's what we're anticipating for year end, is that we'll be a total of about 8% off unit count. That does not mean to be you will be. That does not mean that you will be 8% off. If you stay and you keep focused, you listen to the things that Mike and I talk about here on the webinar, arm yourself with additional information in the marketplace, and keep busy. You'll pick up extra business because the other agents are mentally on vacation. So we come down here, we got a 2-month supply. That's not inaccurate. I was looking at 1.83 and then just over 1%, the 100% the week before. Mike, whether these are sustainable, we'll just have to continue to see. But as of right now, we are almost in a stereotypical real estate market for Arizona. 2.5 months supply is really the sweet spot. Around 3, we're still hoping to get to that number. But again, 2% 2-month supply is fantastic. 759 average list price, 589 average sale price. Sale price bumped just a little bit, but we were as low as 569 just a few weeks ago. So I don't really see that's a big issue. That is just taking what sold this past week, divide them up by the number of units, and that's what that number means. It's not globally. And then the final numbers, as we said before, 99.47 list price to sale price retention. We were at 99.67, so we're continuing to drop well under 100, which is where we were a year ago. And again, back down. Will we see 9.7, 9.8? I hope so, but we'll have to see. And that's what's coming on. So we did have someone ask, where do you find Todd's numbers and the market stats? So you can find that. It's not on the dashboard. It is on West USA. It is on youtube.com/West USA Realty. If you go there, there is a playlist. If you go there, you'll see Mike's 3-pack has its own playlist. My market stats have its own playlist. So you can go there and listen to those stats at that point. Month-end stats we put on the Facebook page. So stay tuned to that for next week. Mike, that's what I got, and we'll go from there.
All right. Appreciate it as always. Todd, I think there was some confusion that we were actually uploading those slides to the dashboard. So we just want to be clear, they're not, but you can find them on the YouTube page.
No, we do. We upload our slides every single Monday, all the slides that we do. If you're a West USA agent, you can access mywestusa.com and you can download the slide deck.
But the slide deck would be the entire webinar, correct? Yeah. Okay.
All right. That's perfect. All right.
Just not the individuals.
All right, Matt Baker, what do you got cooking?
All right. Well, let's talk rates real quick. The market ebbed a little lower from a rate perspective over the last 7 calendar days. And that's mainly as a result of some of this economic news. And we're kind of in what I would call a little mini cycle. When the Fed, talks, they're working backwards based on the way inflation was. So what happens is inflation number come out, then the Fed reacts. Well, the market reacts between when the inflation number comes out and when the Fed talks. Well, that cycle seems to be happening now, May and now June, kind of the same thing. They edge up during that window between inflation and the Fed meeting, and then they sort of ebb back down a little bit as the market kind of starts to digest what's happening. Well, I think the long and short of it, at least from the buyer side that we see, and I feel like we have a pulse on buyer demand, there's more than 100 reasons that people use to buy a house. And interest rate is just one of those reasons. I think that's sometimes lost in perspective. So there's a lot of people that are coming back that I'm talking to that I pre-approved a year ago, 6 months ago, couldn't find a house, low down payment, contingent buyers. There's lots of other buyers out there that still want to buy. And so I still think it's a matter of just getting them going again. And I'm seeing that happening, but of course, it's a lagging indicator of what you see in the inventory growth. So that's really my little tidbit on the market. I'm still positive and bullish. And yes, rates will probably be ebbing and flowing up and down, the rest of the year. But talk to an expert like myself, and we'll walk you through how a client can maximize the time when they go under contract. But today, let's talk about improving credit scores. It's one of those things that we often forget about. Credit is the %1 determining factor for your interest rate. The difference between a 640 borrower, credit score borrower, and a 740 is, we're talking about almost 0.75% difference in interest rate. So it's a pretty significant difference, and probably the easiest #1 thing that you can do, besides applying for new credit slowly, which I've actually talked to a buyer that had only 1 trade line, and I said, don't go just add 3 trade lines really quickly. Add them 1 month, then wait 2 months, add another one. So definitely adding credit slowly is important. But lowering your credit card balances is the #1 way to get your score up the fastest. So if you have a $10,000 or a $5,000 credit card and it's near the max, get it down. That's the simple number. Get it down. And it may be the difference between you may put 5% less down, but you pay off all your debt. That's a win from a qualifying perspective and from a credit score perspective, because your payment's going to absolutely love you, especially as rising rates happen. We need all the help we can get on that credit score piece. Again, setting up automatic payments, doing late payments, paying obviously all your stuff, doing all your payments automatically just makes the most sense. Of course, opening a secured credit card if you're having trouble, you have credit blemishes, those kinds of things. Disputing those things are also important. And one of the things that we do that most maybe don't tell you about is that we do rapid rescores. And what a rapid rescore is let's say you have that borrower that pays down the credit card, and now we can actually send that to the bureau in about 3 to 5 days. We can get a rescore back, where instead in the normal time you would have to wait 30 to 45 days for that creditor to update the bureau. So that really does help. And then again, I would say that the biggest misconception is that I know what my credit score is because I get freecreditreport.com, or I go to Credit Karma. Those consumer-facing free scores are not what the lender uses for their FICO score. And there's no real magic number, Todd and Mike. It's probably 20 to 30 points, though, on the high side. So if you think your score is 750, it's probably on the lender's side, probably more like 720. So you have to be aware of that. And that's why getting in touch with a lender quick as soon as possible in the shopping process, so that we can do any kind of credit score triage that we need to do, is so valuable. But that's what I got for the day.
All right, I just wanted to just talk about that authorized user. I met with a 19-year-old kid last week. He's looking to buy his first home, and he's like, I don't have any credit. I don't have a credit card, gas card, or anything like that. I'm like, all right, so we're going to have to start slowly. And so I went through just the pre-qualification process anyways, and it turns out his parents had made him an authorized user. He didn't really even know, and his credit score is in the 700s.
Wow.
Awesome. And then, getting your own score too, because authorized users are now a little bit, can be sticky with automated underwriting. So definitely getting him his own credit would also be a good next step. Slowly, of course.
All right, Matt, appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right, have a good one. Happy
All right,
4th.
as we jump into the 3-pack, I just want to highlight for our agents out there, we've put together a fantastic lead gen think tank. That's the website. You just type that. It'll take you to our closed Facebook group. And really, it's just it's no one's complaining about other agents. It's all about lead generation ideas and people sharing ideas. So I'd like to invite everybody to be a part of that. But let's jump into the 3-pack. All right, we've been talking a lot about this, Todd, overcoming interest rate objections, but it's what's on everybody's mind.
Sure.
And you'd mentioned earlier, if you are slow, I am telling you, just go out and have real estate conversations with people and know what's on their mind. So it's not there's very rarely a day that passes that I don't talk to somebody and they're like, I don't want to do anything because interest rates are so high. So I wanted to continue the conversation. So last week, Todd, I talked about this idea of just, I kept saying, don't focus on the number, right? But I want to expand that. So focus on all the numbers, not just the one number. Because if you just focus on the interest rate, and again, this is what I'm trying to explain to my buyers. If you focus just on the interest rate, it's going to paralyze you. You're going to get caught up in the sensationalism, and you're not going to want to jump in the game. And it's going to really, at the end of the day, keep you from building wealth. There's all kinds of different numbers that go into buying a piece of real estate, such as the price. Okay, you're going to get a better price today than you probably would have 3 months ago. Not guaranteeing it, but there's a really good chance. Your home is still expected to appreciate, and there are tax benefits, and there's a level of quality of life from renting versus owning. We're going to jump into some of these details, but it's just helping our buyers, Todd, look at the overall picture of a piece of real estate rather than just the number.
Years ago, we used to have this thing about the 1% origination fee. And when people, because that's the cost of borrowing money, is a 1% origination fee. And it's for the benefit of a loan originator, obviously, generating originating the borrower. And so we used to say, Mike, I don't remember, first-time home buyers way back when, the early 90s, you and I, we'd sit back and we go, all right, well, is it beneficial for the person to pay that $1,000 up front, or is it smarter for them to finance it and allow them to add it into the mortgage payment? And then the argument was, okay, well, there's a number of months, what are called break even.
Yep.
And so this was just one example of all these different facets that you as a realtor need to be able to have conversations with your buyers to take them off the fence, because realistically, you can assist people. So to the point that Mike was making with interest rate, look at it over time. What's the change in the payment? Okay, if we go to 5 years, from now, if you withstand it for 5 years, at that particular point, if the rates are lower, you can continue to refinance. That's not a problem, and recast it and bring your payment down. Or, of course, start off with an adjustable rate, something at least that you can help you qualify for the product.
And the other thing that I didn't put up here is, I want to wait till I save 20% so I don't have to pay PMI. Okay, so let's do the math.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I buy a $300,000 property and let's say my monthly PMI payment's $200 a month, people go, I don't want to pay that. Well, by the time that you save 20%, okay, that $200 a month is going to equate to $2,400 a year. You take a look at how much that home is going to appreciate. Okay, if you wait to save, you're losing money, because by the time that you save that 20%, if you ever do, that home is going to be so much more expensive, and you'll have so much equity on the table. Number two is what we know about the Phoenix real estate market. You mentioned earlier, do not get caught up in the national news and the national reporting, because we are on an island to ourselves here in Phoenix. Home prices are, and this is going back to looking at all the numbers, not just the one number. Home prices are expected to appreciate. Rents are expected to go up exponentially. Arizona is still creating jobs.
Big jobs.
And one of the things we talk about, Google alerts. Set up a Google alert for Phoenix jobs or Arizona jobs. That's the kind of information you want to be sending out to your clients. And if you don't know how to set up a Google alert, go into Google and type in, how do I set up a Google alert? And Google will tell you how to do it. And people are scared. Yes, sellers are scared. Everybody's kind of scared right now, staying out of the game, which is going to offer better deals for savvy buyers. And that savvy buyer is that person that says, I'm not going to focus on the one number, I'm going to focus on all the numbers, and realizing this is the opportunity to jump in the game.
It's, this is where you can establish the fact that you truly are an expert practitioner, that you really do have a strong command of the marketplace. And why hire me versus the other realtor? It's because you know this information that we're trying to assist you with. And if you don't, call us. Plug in, go into the office, talk to a coach, talk to Mike, talk to Todd, talk to me, talk to any of us, and we'll certainly be happy to walk you through this. But yes, 8% increase in property values this year, 4% again next year. This is the market where people from all over the United States, Mike, if we remember back in the 90s, people used to come to Arizona because of our 4% appreciation, and they would invest in Arizona because it was so much higher than anywhere else in the country. Yeah. And we looked at each other and went, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're so fortunate. 4%. That means 10 years from now, your house is worth 40% more.
And
It's
if you
better
do, and if
today
you
than
do
it
come
was
in
then.
and meet with Todd, he will actually talk in the third person.
There
So
you
it's
go.
very
I
entertaining.
can. I know that person.
All right. And then the third thing that I'm always explaining to my buyers is the way you have to understand how somebody can make money in real estate. When you're trying to help people, not just focus on the interest rate, but take a look at all the numbers. We've talked about appreciation. Homes are expected to appreciate, regardless if interest rates are 6.5, 7%,
They've
whatever
been
it
there
is.
before.
For me, it doesn't really matter. If you wait 12 months, you're going to be missing out on that 8% appreciation, and you are leaving money on the table. Okay. Number two, you get tax benefits, and that's really all I tell my buyers, because I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant, but I know I get certain tax benefits, with my interest payments and so forth. This is the time that you obviously have them talk to an accountant for more clarification. But what I can write off, to me, is income. The more I write off, the more money that I put in my pocket. And then we call it on our team the real estate 401k program. Every time you make a mortgage payment, it's like a forced savings account. Even if your home never, ever, ever goes up in value, which is ludicrous, but let's say it doesn't.
Yep.
Over the life of the loan, if you have a $300,000 loan, over the life of the loan, you wake up one day having $300,000 in actual equity, almost cash. Sell it, you can cash out, do whatever you want. It's a forced savings program.
Totally.
I know if I go out and buy $300,000 worth of stock today, I got to come up with $300,000 to buy $300,000 worth of stock. If I'm going to buy a $300,000 property, 5% down, that's 15 grand. All right. And now you're paying into your own retirement account. And then the fourth way is if you do maintain that property, when you go move and you turn it into a rental income, you're going to get positive cash flow. You're going to make money. If your mortgage payments, $1,800, and obviously you're renting it for $2,300, that's $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year of just extra income. And the moment that you turn it into a rental property, going back to our real estate 401k program, now you have somebody else investing into your retirement account.
If there's anything of this number 3 that I want everybody to walk away with, is be careful who you're asking about how do I make money with real estate. And the reasoning behind that is I have a financial planner, I have a stockbroker, I have a guy that handles, some of our insurance face value stuff. And the point that I'm trying to make is, if I were to ask any one of those brilliantly talented people in their specific line of industry line of work, knowledge base, they're not going to give me the accurate information of one of the other person's specialties. So when you sit down with a realtor, what's a realtor supposed to do? We're supposed to know. We're not supposed to tell people anything. We're not supposed to promise the future. Our job is what's called historical perspective. Our job is to take what's already happened in the past, formulate it in such a way, deliver it to the consumer, not so that we make a better decision, so they make a better decision. But if they ask the wrong person, they're not going to get the true value. If you go and ask your stockbroker about real estate, they're going to go, well, the problem with the real estate is blah, 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 blah. Well, why? Because that person wants you to invest in their stocks. That's how they make money, and vice versa. So just be careful where you get the advice from. But from real estate, if you don't know all the different ways that real estate makes you money, combinations of depreciation, combinations
depreciation
of,
as well.
And there's times maybe when you don't want to take depreciation, but I'll leave that question for you to ask your CPA. But again, there's so many opportunities. Don't be lost because psychologically you think 6% is a high interest rate.
Yeah, and then just going back to point one. So when I take a look at all of these numbers, and I take a look at all the ways that I'm going to make money on a piece of property in our market, 6%, 6.25%, 6.5%, 7%, as long as the numbers are panning out and I'm still making money, then I'm not going to get paralyzed on that number. I mentioned last week, I'm moved up our timeline on our next property. I mean, I feel like 30 days from now, it's going to be some some really good deals to be
There
had,
will be.
and I'm excited about getting into it. So, anyways, that is our a 3-pack. All right, Nick, do you have anything to add? You've just been sitting over there quiet, you know.
No, you guys have really good content. It's perfect.
Yeah, we were having more of an intelligent conversation,
Yeah.
so Nick doesn't have much to bring.
There
to
was no
the-
reason for
stop.
that. There was no
I
reason for that.
know.
Hold on, I'm gonna
I
mute
know.
your microphone right now.
Yeah, that's below subpar pricing right there, dude.
All right, so we have Tammy with Knox. She was going to come in, but she's a little bit under the weather. But Tammy, I do appreciate you still jumping on, and as we go through these slides, you'll just have to tell me when to click the next slide. But one of the questions that we've been asked is, with the change in the marketplace, is there still a place for knock in our business? And when we're talking to sellers, and obviously the answer is yes, but we wanted to hear it from you. Welcome.
Thank you. So glad to be here. Sorry I couldn't be there in person today. But I'd like to go through the slides just to kind of give everybody an overview of, we'll start with the home swap because that seems to be the most desirable product that we have right now. And with the changing market, it's becoming as valuable as it was when there wasn't any inventory. And I think you guys will see as we go through this. So what is Knock? Who are we? We are a tech company that's a lender as well. And we actually started 7 years ago. So we've been around a while. We've evolved a lot and we continue to evolve every day. And most of it comes from the feedback that we get from the agents in the field. Because one of the things that we think is most valuable is that we partner with agents and we listen to what you have to say and then we implement it and see how we can benefit everybody in the transaction. So you can go to the next slide there. We actually have 2 products. We have the Knock Home Swap, which is our buy first and sell later, and then our Knock Guaranteed Offer, which is for your buyers that are buy only. But I'm really going to focus on the Home Swap because I think that's the one that brings the most benefit to the larger majority of people in the market right now. So what is the Home Swap? The Home Swap is it's a way to allow your borrowers to go and buy their new home before they ever have to list their old home. And why is that important? Well, it's important because with as much uncertainty as is in the marketplace, people are afraid that, geez, if I put my house on the market, what if I can't find the house that I want? The timing of all of that, or just I don't want people in my house while I'm living there. So those are kind of some of the things that we solved for. So the home swap consists of a new mortgage, which is a conventional mortgage. It allows them to buy the new house in their name, and in their names only. And there are no sales contingencies with that new loan. So they're going to be able to make offers that are not contingent on the sale of their house. And why is that important? Well, you guys are talking about, the opportunity for some good deals coming up. Well, I think the borrower that has no contingencies or no sales contingencies in their offer will be able to negotiate much better with the seller. So I think that's going to become really paramount with the home swap. Coupled with the new mortgage, the conventional mortgage is our home equity advance loan. Our home equity advance loan, we can lend up to 20% for down payment. We cover 6 months of mortgage payments on the existing home. We can build in what we call a home prep budget. I think this is going to be something that's going to become more valuable also in the marketplace because last couple years you didn't have to do anything to your house to put it on the market. It was simply get a sign out front and get a lockbox on it and it would sell. But as more inventory comes available, it's going to be the houses that are fixed up, ready to go, clean, move-in ready that actually I think draw more buyers. So the home prep budget I think will be a really valuable tool for your sellers. And this whole home equity advance loan is 0% interest for 6 months. And so they don't make any payments on the home equity advance loan. It's a balloon payment once they move into their new house and they get their old house on the market and sold. So, so that's kind of in a nutshell how the home swap works. If we go to the next one, I kind of just covered this. The other thing I want to point out is one of the other things that we can include in the home equity advance loan is up to $25,000 for debt pay down. So there's some borrowers that need a little help at closing to get their debt to income ratio in line. We can use home equity advance funds to pay down up to 25% of, or 25,000 of their existing debt to get their debt to income ratio in line. And so that's a benefit that we just added to the home equity advance. We didn't have that before, but we do now. So that's becoming something that's being used quite a bit lately. Um, so what does it cost? I think this is an important thing that comes up. You guys were talking about a 1% origination fee is how lenders make their money. Well, we do the same thing. The difference with the home swap versus an origination fee is we charge what is called our convenience fee. It's 1.25%. It's calculated on the purchase price of the new home versus an origination fee that's calculated on the loan amount. So that's really the difference in doing a home swap versus doing just a traditional conventional mortgage. Um, and then there's standard lending fees, underwriting fee and processing fee included in that for a total of, I think it's 1750.
Hey,
So when
Tammy,
I
I'm
talk,
Tammy,
yeah,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
going to throw out questions as they come in from our agents. But
Absolutely.
is the home swap available in other states?
It is, and actually, I'm finding a lot of that, a lot of what we call cross market swaps. So if you go to knock.com and you click on markets, you'll see that we're actually located in 75 markets. Um, and in those markets, we can do a cross market swap. So a lot of the ones that I'm doing, it seems like now, are California to Arizona, Arizona to Texas, Arizona to Georgia. I've also had some. Uh, like Oregon, Washington to Florida. So they are, and it really works really good for your client that is moving out of market if we're in the market they're moving to, because it brings certainty to the equation. I mean, how scary is it to move markets
Yeah.
and not know where you're going to live
Well, we
until you
would
get there?
we would greatly appreciate if you guys would just stop helping the Californians move to Arizona. That would help us out a little bit.
I hear you. I'm here locally, so I hear you. Um, I get it. Um, So let's talk about really the four ways that we can win with the home swap. And if you go to the next slide, it kind of outlines this. With the home equity advance, the conversations I'm having right now with my borrowers are interest rates. They're concerned about interest rates. Oh my God, they're 6%. Everybody's concerned about it. So we have the conversation. What if we could buy that interest rate down using home equity advance funds? You don't have to come out of pocket with any money at closing. It comes out of your home equity advance loan. And if their payoff or their break even, as you guys called it, is 2 to 3 years, I mean, it totally makes sense to buy that rate down. Or the other thing with the home swap is they have the ability to recast the loan once they sell their house. So let's say we get them in with 20% down, but they have a huge amount of equity when they sell their house. They can take that additional proceeds, pay down the principal amount of the new loan on the new house, and the monthly payment is recalculated or recast to the new principal amount. So if they're looking at this house as their long-term house, then a lot of times it makes sense to buy the rate down. If you're gonna do the recast, interest rate doesn't change. So buy the rate down in the beginning, recast the loan after you sell your house, and you're set for life. You got a good solid loan. And you guys, we all know, really, interest rates today, they feel high because they were so ridiculously low, but historically
They're
they're
low.
they're really pretty low. So I'm having those conversations a lot. We talked about the payoff of debt to improve the qualification. Um, the home swap is a great solution to new construction, because you can go into the builder with our pre-approval letter, and that's not contingent on the sale of their house, but their house isn't going to be done for 10 months, 8 or 10 months. So why make them sell their house now to get rid of their contingency, try to find a rental and pay the rent to get into it while their house is getting built, just so they don't have a contingency? The home swap is a great option for the builders. And then we obviously do our best to keep you informed and throughout the process. I always like to have conversations with the listing agents for my agents that are submitting offers. Let's talk about the numbers and what's going to make your offer the strongest. And because that's really what the home swap is all about, to get it so you can compete, you can negotiate, you can be in a much stronger position than that person that has a house to sell. Um, okay, so this is kind of a little example here on the screen utilizing the home swap at 0% interest. Um, this it looks like, let's see, this example. Say your client applies for a $350,000 30-year mortgage. We at this point in time are not offering ARMs on the interest rates right now because it doesn't make sense, because it's still not to the point where it makes sense to offer the ARMs with the fixed rates where they are. Now, as that changes, then we will look at the option and bringing that on board. We're actually considering it for our jumbo loans, because you can do a jumbo loan with the home swap now also. And with the jumbo loans, obviously the rates are a little bit higher, so the ARMs make a little bit more sense with that. But back to the example. So if we quote them a 5.5% payment, um, and they want to buy that rate down, then we can, because we're offering what we don't build anything into our rates. Okay, we're offering competitive market rates. I was looking at what Matt Baker's rates were, and ours are the same. I mean, they're looking exactly like what I'm offering. So we are very competitive with the rates. Um, and so I think this example just shows you the opportunity to buy it down using the home equity advance. I always say, when I'm working with my borrowers, I always say, gosh, I'm going to maximize your home equity advance loan, because when you're borrowing money at 0% interest, it only makes sense to do that, right? To
Yeah.
maximize it and use as much of it as you can. Because the other thing that ends up happening, and I don't know going forward if this will be the case, but when they actually do sell their house, a lot of times they sell their house for more than what we think they're going to anyway. Because as a lender, we take a real conservative approach on our home swap loans. And so most of the time, they're getting way more money than we thought even going in, which ends up paying for not only their convenience fee, but oftentimes the money they spend up front to pay down the rate as well. And I think that might be, we talked about the debt pay down. Now, let's talk about the qualifications for the home swap. So, on the listing side, the house that you're listing or will be listing has to be under $1 million. As long as that price on the listing house is under $1 million, they're more than likely their property will be eligible for the home swap. Once we get over the $1 million mark, then we can't do that, but they can buy over $1 million. Because again, we can do a jumbo loan with the home swap. So if they're selling their first home and it's under $1 million, but they're buying the 1.2 or $1.5 million house, move up house, not a problem. We can do the home swap.
All
So
right, so
what
Tammy,
questions do you guys have?
yeah, I got a slew of questions because I've
Okay,
chatted with
good.
you guys a few times, and so I know the
Yeah,
questions that are on the minds of our agents. And then there's a couple things I just
yeah.
wanted to clarify. But I wanted you to go into a little bit more detail and explain what the guarantee loan is, what that looks like for the seller.
I think you're talking about our Not Go program for the buyers only.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Okay. So that loan was designed to compete in a cash market, to be a like cash offer. It's not a cash guaranteed offer, but it's a like cash. And the reason it is because we will fully underwrite the loan prior to them making an offer. So basically all we have to do is plug in the address and get the appraisal and get it
Right.
done. And we will guarantee to do that in 30 days. So that's really what the Not Go program is.
All right.
I would say stay tuned, because there are some new things coming out that will be more in line with cash, um, but I can't divulge a bunch of
All right, I
information.
gotcha. FHA VA loans.
Mhm. We can do a VA loan, but we can't do it with a home swap. Unfortunately, the guidelines, they don't allow. So the only loan that we can do with the home swap is a conventional conforming loan or a jumbo loan.
Yep. One of the things I just wanted to clarify, I know the answer to the question, but because
Mhm.
of the home swap, because of the, the ins and the outs of the home swap, and you're lending and you're helping with the property that they're moving out of, you are the lender for the acquisition of the new property. There is no room for me to come in and say, hey, I want to go with a different lender.
That's correct. We are the lender for both the conventional loan
Right.
and the home equity advance loan. We don't do separate home equity advance loans. It's the home swap, and they are together as
Okay.
one.
Perfect. And then I want to talk about commissions and how and when agents get paid. So obviously, we are going to represent the seller on the acquisition of their new property. So we're going to get paid from the listing broker. See how I said it was the broker, Todd?
Very nice,
I pay
very nice.
attention.
I'm impressed.
But it looks like there's kind of like two transactions here with the sale of their home because they're getting an advance. On the sale of their home, when do we as the agent get paid?
You get paid when that house sells. And so what we like is for them to have their house on the market, their current house on the market within 45 days of closing on the new house. And then that gives their agent, enough time to get it sold within the 6-month period at the 0% interest.
Okay, and then this one I don't remember the answer. So
Okay.
okay, so when we go and buy a new property, do we as agents, or I should say, because Todd will slap me here, does the buyer get to choose the title company that they want to use and the inspection company they want to use?
Yes, they do. Absolutely. They can choose their own title company. On the purchase loan, you can choose your own title company. And what I usually do when I structure the loan, I try to cover everything except earnest deposit, inspection fee, and appraisal fee.
Right.
Those three things have to be paid upfront or out of pocket. Otherwise, everything else is rolled into the home equity advance,
Okay,
if possible. Again, it depends on their equity position in their current home, but people have so much equity right now. Usually, I can structure it in such a way that that's all they have to come out of pocket.
so let's talk about the process. Okay, we get our buyer signed up and our buyer's interested. I'm sure there's some sort of online application. Then what happens? What is the process? Does knock do a home inspection? Does knock do an appraisal up front? What are we as the agents? What's our responsibility? What do we need to provide knock in order to get into a position where knock says, okay, yes, I'm going to advance you this amount and so forth?
Okay, that's a really good question. So as an agent, you have the opportunity to become certified as a knock agent. If you do the certification, you have the ability to use all of our marketing materials in your prospecting. So that's a benefit. Now, the other thing, if you become certified, and I say if because we're not making it mandatory for you to be certified in order to do a knock home swap. It's easier and it's better if you are, but if you're not, that's okay. If you get certified, you have access to what is called our Home Pro app. That Home Pro app is the application that you can input your customer's address to find out if it's eligible for the home swap. Once you find out it's eligible, and it's as simple as plugging in the address of the property and a few details about the property: how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what kind of flooring, is there a pool, is there a garage, what do you think you'll list the house for? That simple. Once you plug that in and it comes back as being eligible, then you have the opportunity to invite your client to do a loan application. You can do all of that through the Home Pro app, but let's say you decide you don't want to go through the certification, you don't want to deal with that. It's okay because we'll still work with you. All you have to do is send your client to knock.com and they can click the button to get started. When they do that, it just walks them through everything that we just talked about with regard to their property address, all of that. They'll do the loan application. The only thing that we need for their current property is your list price, because you're the agent, you're the professional. We want to know what you think you'll sell it for. We're going to compare your list price to our algorithm price for lending purposes only. And then we ask for photos of their existing home. So we ask like 2 pictures of every room in the house, a picture of the front of the house and the back of the house, and it's that simple. We don't do an appraisal, we don't do an inspection. We really look to you guys, the agents, as the professional. Tell us if, if we look at pictures and the kitchen's torn out, then we're going to be like, whoa, wait, what's going on? Or we'll look to you and say, do they need money for the home prep budget to finish whatever they got started? Because it's the home prep budget's not really designed for a remodel. It's designed to get the house ready for market. So maybe that means paint carpet. Maybe there is a small roof repair that needs to be done or something like that. That's what that home prep budget is for.
I would just say, just as a piece of advice for our agents that are listening, if you are going to, get a client signed up for this, and I'd highly recommend everybody get certified, but get certified because you want a dashboard. You want to have control. You want to make sure that the client that gets referred over is underneath you. And the certification is free, and it's like, what, 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
So they just simply scan that QR code and start the process to get certified.
Yes, absolutely. That's all you have to do. And you're exactly right. It does give them access to the app and the technology that we've created for agents. And really, our goal is to make it as simple as possible for you, the agents, to work with us. We don't want to make it difficult and cause any barriers in the process. The whole idea is to work with you guys, partner with you agents, and simplify the process so that your clients can have the least stressful real estate transaction that they've ever had. Most of my clients, once they're done, they say, "I'll never buy real estate the old-fashioned way again," because they had the benefit of the home swap.
We did have a question come in.
Okay.
I think I know the answer, but if the
Okay.
buyer is buying a new build,
Uh-huh.
what happens if the build time is more than the 6 months? My thought is we wouldn't do any kind of money advancement
The six
until
months,
we're within
yeah.
that completion time,
The
right?
6-month time frame that clock doesn't start ticking until they close on the new house.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not until they close on the new house. So, builders all the time are pushing it back and pushing it back. We always just ask that they let us know when they're within 75 days of completion so we can order the first appraisal. And then we'll just be waiting on the reinspection and the final occupancy. But it's not a problem because the 6 months doesn't start until they close on the new house.
just out of curiosity, and it's not really meant to be a gotcha question, just curiosity. I think it's on people's minds when it comes down to new builds. What type of rate lock are you guys offering as far as duration?
That's a really good question. As of right now, today, at this minute, it's 60 days.
Okay.
However, I say at this minute because I think this week we are going to be releasing um, the lock and shop. So that'll be a benefit to the new construction where they can lock it in much earlier in the process, lock that rate in much earlier. So stay tuned because that's coming.
So one question that I had earlier in the very beginning of the conversation, you had indicated that there's a 1.25% program cost
Community.
overall. And
Mhm.
again, I want people to understand that includes the 1% origination fee,
Right,
correct?
right,
So it's
exactly.
really the
Yes.
1% is no different than any other lender is going to charge. Your program really only costs 0.25, but the fact is that you're just saying it from that perspective because it is a cost, and obviously legally you have to represent it as that. But I just wanted
Yeah.
agents to know if they're still listening, that 1% is this program really costs you 0.25. So again, it's really from that perspective. The other piece is, have you ever used this on a reverse 1031 mortgage?
No, this is for primary to primary
Just
only.
primary only. Okay.
And we can't do reverse mortgages with the home swap.
Yeah. Did I say reverse mortgage?
You did.
Oh,
You
I meant
said
it reverse 1031. I apologize.
but no, that's okay. But yes,
Okay.
the home swap is for primary residence to buy primary residence, selling
Perfect.
primary to buy primary.
All right, Tammy, this is a great
All
information.
right.
Really, really appreciate it. Very just, and Todd and Tammy, you can chime in. We got a couple minutes, but it goes back to, and I tell agents, whether or not I ever have a buyer that uses this program, for me as an agent to have an additional topic in my arsenal to have a real estate conversation
Totally.
with. I mean, this is where buyers and sellers, they now have options, and you're bringing
Yeah.
to the table options.
Mike, it's like we were talking about earlier today in each of the segments. I mean, without, as a realtor practitioner in today's market, what makes you more of a professional or more have greater value than another realtor is your not only understanding of the market per your 3-pack, but in addition to that, it's understanding these different loan programs that's out there. I'm not saying just knock. I'm not saying just fairway. I'm saying you need to know every loan program that's out there, because when everybody's situation is different. And so as a result, if you come with just the standardized, the only thing I understand is referring you to my lender, you're missing a huge piece. And not only that, when you're having conversations, Mike, we also have always talked about, when you go knock on a door, or you go have a conversation with someone, or you're in a room and people are talking and there's 20, 30 other realtors there, how do you separate yourself from the crowd? It's by what you're talking about. If you're talking about, I can do this better than Mike can, or Mike can do it better than Todd can, then there we go, third person again. Then you're not that same caliber of professional as when either of us are over there talking about impacting things that impact home ownership or private property rights or mortgages, or overcoming what the consumer's concerns are at the moment.
Well, typically it's my good looks and charm that separate
Beyond
me
that.
from everybody else in the room.
Beyond
But yeah.
Of course.
Well, and I think I just interject that with technology, people are finding solutions. They're going online looking for solutions.
Yeah, that's a good
So
point.
you, as their agent, need to know about things that are available, because the worst thing would be sitting across the table from somebody in a listing appointment and they say, "Well, what about knock?" And you say, "Oh, I don't know anything about it." Then you turn from being the professional to the, you're not up with the times kind of a thing, right? So it's a way to have another arrow in your quill. I mean, it gives you another option. It's not for everybody. I will say that. And a home swap doesn't work for everybody,
All
but
right,
it does make you as the agent more professional if you know about it.
all right, Tammy, we got 2 minutes, so I'm going to put you under the gun
Okay,
here.
go
One,
ahead.
how much equity does the house need to have to be eligible? And two, just kind of remind us again how to get certified.
So typically we need at least 30% equity, and that's a net equity position. So if you're, doing rough numbers, about 30% equity, they would be eligible for the home swap. And then to get certified, on the screen you'll see that QR code. You can also go to knock.com and click on the agents tab and put your name there, and somebody will reach out to you to get you registered. The biggest thing is that you get registered on our system. And you said this when you said, for your clients, you can send them to knock.com. There is a question in the process that says, are you working with an agent? So they can input your name as the agent there. But if you have the Home Pro app and you're certified, that way you're automatically tied to them once you input their address in the Home Pro app.
Tammy, appreciate it. Thank you, and we
Thank
hope
you
you get
guys.
better.
Thanks so much. You guys have a great day.
All right, we leave everybody with the quote of the day from Vince Lombardi. Perfection is not attainable, but if we chase perfection, we can catch excellence. Appreciate everybody joining us today. Go out and sell a home.